Let's talk about classification rules and the value it brings when using your Rentastic account. Classification rules, first, are meant to help you automate the categorization of your transactions, as well as to set the income or the expense to a specific property. The goal of classification rules are to help you automate all of this so you do not have to go in one by one when it comes to your transactions and update them the way that you would normally do it. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to classification rules. Let's start by creating a new rule. I'm always going to name that rule. Obviously, this way you know the reason you have that rule. So if you do need to go ahead and update it, make any changes, it's easy to identify it. So I'm going to start with classifying this rule for any transactions with Danlick. Let's fix my errors. Okay. Once you've identified the rule name, next is to determine the transaction conditions this rule will apply to transactions of. What I mean by that is there are three conditions, that you can set to determine the rule. Condition one is a date of the month that payment comes through. So example being, if you know the first of every month you've got a rent being paid. The pay transaction description text. So let's say you have a specific ID number of a transaction that comes through every single month, or you have a name associated with this. In this case, we are going to be using contains Danlick for our example. And then you're also going to determine if it is based on a transaction amount. Okay. When it comes to the transaction amounts, you have greater to, equal to, less than, pretty straightforward there, as well as the pay description equals or contains. In this example, we're going to do contains. If you were to use equals, by the way, it would only meet that condition if the exact transaction description text meets the description text that you have put in to your description. Otherwise, you're just going to use contains. Now, this is where below I'm going to set the category. So is it an income? What type of expense? I'm also going to assign the property that I want to associate this transaction to, whether it's an individual property or the entire portfolio itself. And I can also then apply a specific rule beginning date. This is important. So let's say I only want this rule to apply to anything prior to or post, 2023. I can then set the date in this example to January 1st, 2023. Now, if I were to want to apply this rule, I'm going to hit preview rule. As you can see, I have now pulled the rules. I have now pulled the transaction. This rule, if I were to save the rule, will apply my transactions to. Okay. Now, if I hit save rule, what will happen is I'm going to go ahead and save the rule. And this rule will now apply. When this transaction kicks in at 3 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, because that's, by the way, when all the rules will apply to the transactions, it will take the two transactions that we saw in the preview. Again, I can preview it by going to preview rule, and it will go ahead and update those once it has met that transaction date. Okay. Hopefully this was helpful. My recommendation, by the way, is when you do upload any of your transactions, if you're importing transactions or if you're creating them manually, or if you're setting it through your bank link, linking your bank accounts, always set up classification rules to automate the transactions that you know you're going to receive consistently. Okay, hopefully this was a helpful video. If you do have any specific rules that you want help with that you might have a little bit difficulty putting together, I'm happy to create videos specifically for users who ask for it. Feel free to ask in the comments below, and we'll be coming out with a lot more videos to help with the Rentastic platform and utilizing the Rentastic platform. If you haven't already, create your free account and start using Rentastic to help you manage your properties. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.